Welcome back, everybody, to our, I believe, our ninth weekly missions roundtable. You are with your favorite three people here on the West Coast. We have Mike Pettingill, who is our fearless director and leader. Mike, say what up.
What up, guys?
We have Ali Hazarati, who is the glue that holds our hub together. Ali, say what up.
Hello, welcome back.
And then you have me, the Han Solo of the group, the Ron Weasley, the Scottie Pippen, Anthony English, assistant director for the West Coast Hub. And guess what? Yes, everybody says that about me. So with that being said, we have a treat. For the past 2 weeks, we've had Rachel Stuger and DH and Emily Henry, who have talked about their call to ministry, their ministries overseas and here with the Navajo Nation. So what we want to do is we want to continue that theme for this ninth week of our weekly missions roundtable, and we hope that this is a blessing for you guys. And our topic today is discerning the call to mission. So what we are going to do is I'm going to pass the ball to Mike Pettingill. And Mike, there we go. Boom. Mike, tell us, yes, we know there's the external call, right? An organization calls you or people affirm your gifts, but how did you discern God's call in your life to go to the mission field?
So we went, so it was 2005, I think, when we first contacted MTW, 2006 when we got involved with long-term missions, and 2007 when we finally got onto the mission field. And leading up to that point, I had no concept of missions, had no desire for missions. I did not grow up in a Christian home. I didn't grow up in church. I had never met a missionary. I followed in line with the cliches of what missions was. Didn't really know anything about it. And so when we started to, my wife and I started to get involved in short-term missions. Hey, Parsa.
Parsa, welcome back.
When my wife and I started to get involved in missions, I felt like it was the right thing, and I felt like it really felt like this is something that we could do. But I'm like, no, man, my wife and I were making too much money, and we were we were living in a beautiful home, and had great jobs. I was like, no, this is not for me. I must be a sender. I'm not a goer. And then when the Lord really put that burden on my heart that we should be going, my wife's the first person that I talked to about it. And she said, yeah, man, that's the thing. That's what we do. And so the two things that I want people listening to this to take away from this idea of what is a call, because that's it's a Christian thing to say. I don't want to make it sound like that's a bad thing, but what does that mean, right? So there's two things. I think that number one, when God places a burden on your heart, don't forget it's God that did that. So if you have a burden for a culture or for a geography or for a people or for a type of ministry, that was placed there by God so that you could be drawn into that. And so if you have a burning desire to be a missionary, God did that. And if you have a burning desire to a certain culture, God did that. And the other thing I want you to do is take a look at the resources that the Lord has put around you and consult wise Christians that have experience in this and ask them, do you see this in me? If you've observed me for years doing ministry in my local church, do you see me as a missionary? Can you envision me packing my bags, selling my house, going overseas and doing this work? Because the wise counsel, the Lord's put wise Christians around you. Now you got to discern that, right? Because we heard from a lot of Christians that were wise that told us we shouldn't go. That we shouldn't be taking our daughter to a third world country, that we shouldn't be taking our daughter to a violent culture. And we had to listen, is that static or is that God's call? And so those are the two big things I want you to take away. Listen to the heart that the Lord's given you, and listen to the wise people around you as well.
Love it, love it, love it. Allie, we're going to pass the ball to you now.
I don't have any hands to catch it. I can do the one hand.
There we go.
But that's always so encouraging. I love hearing about how other people feel the call too. Mine story's a bit different. When I think about what Mike said, something that made me think about my pre-Christian life, and when people would talk about missionaries, I used to say, and I hate when I know I'll stand before God and He'll replay everything I've said in this life. There's so many moments I'm so embarrassed and I don't want to relive, and this is one of them, where I used to speak so poorly about missionaries. Why do they think they're so arrogant that they built that they're better than that they should go somewhere else and force the religion on someone else? And then, of course, once God changed my heart, I did just that. And because it's that pouring out of love that God's given to us that we just can't hold it in. Exactly. Oh, great. So before I became a believer, I had been going to church, but I had started studying Farsi, and my major in college was international affairs and security, so especially focusing on the Middle East. So just like Mike was saying, really God had put an interest on Afghanistan, especially Iran, in my heart for years before I became a believer. So at that point, once I graduated from college, my last class at Georgia, actually, I was on a study abroad and I became a believer. And at that moment, of course, everything changed, and I was so fervent on fire for the Lord and wanted to serve Him any way I could. And with this desire and passion for refugees, and especially Middle Eastern refugees, I wanted to go out and do something. But of course, as a new believer of a few months, I was not the ideal candidate to send on an overseas long-term stint. So with a lot of prayer and thoughts and research, I found a place to go where refugees would leave the Middle East, and where I could learn Farsi and continue to grow in my language skills. And with a lot of prayer, so much prayer, I felt a peace that really surpassed all understanding to go. I talked to a lot of people and they thought I was crazy and I needed to do X, Y, and Z before I went and lived overseas and served as missionary. But looking back, I really can't explain other than that God was so in it, and it was so otherworldly. It made no sense looking back now. Very few people in this world thought it was a good idea for me to go. But looking back, all the closest people around me would say it was the best thing that could have happened for my relationship with Jesus, and it was the best thing that just changed my life. Obviously, for the long haul. I met my husband over there, so now my cute little son's sitting here with me being wiggly. So, but that's how God worked in my heart over a few-year period to serve Him.
All right, so Allie's going to get mad at me for this because we didn't, for those of you watching this, we didn't rehearse this, and this is a tough question. I'm going to ask Allie about all of our employers. So let's put this all on the table. Allie, when you wanted to go, you became a good PCA reform girl. And so what's the first thing you did? Where did you go when you wanted to go overseas?
I went to MTW.
All right. So Allie went to our current employer, Mission of the World, and they welcomed you with open arms and said they wanted you to be a missionary, right?
Not yet. They gave me a list of things to work towards.
So in essence,
overseas,
they kind of rejected you.
He kind of rejected me.
Okay. So did God use, now here's the part. This wasn't rehearsed, right? I'm just trying to embarrass Allie, but this wasn't rehearsed. In all honesty, do you feel that even that rejection, even that not now but later from someone, did that benefit you? Did that help you understand your calling at all, or was that a burden?
I would probably say it was probably a burden at first, but I think it's very helpful. Looking back, I can so clearly see how God worked, because so I went and visited the city where I lived, and I'd come back, and at a missions conference at the last church I served at, there was a missionary serving in that country, and he came and connected me with so many people. He was he was not with MTW as well, but he had been serving there, and so God orchestrated service in that country for me,
That's awesome.
even without a formal organization.
Yeah, God is going to use some really sometimes painful stuff for us to help us understand our calling. I know that was my case too.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, you guys have heard two former missionaries talk about how they discerned their calling to missions, and you may be in the same boat that they were in years ago, and you're asking yourself, well, I think I'm called to ministry. I have a desire for ministry. I have this curiosity that I can't seem to get rid of. What's the next step? I'm glad you asked. You hit me up. My email, anthony.english@mtw.org. I am the man that you will reach out to, and we could talk about it. I would love to talk to you about it. Same thing, though, if you, let's say you want to speak, you're a woman or a man who has a really a passion for, where Ali went or where Mike went, and you want to reach out to them, mike.pettengill@mtw.com, ali.hazarati@mtw.com. Reach out to any of us. We would love to discuss your heart, your desire, your passion, your curiosity about global missions with MTW, and answer any questions, address any objections and concerns that you may have. And we have so much good information for you guys that we've put out, so much good content. Where to find that? The first place you can find that is mtw.org/West Coast. And that's going to take you to our main website with our trainings on it. My goodness. Yes. Throwing up the L for the West Coast. Then we have our Facebook. That just threw me off. We have our Facebook group. It is public. You can join in. You go to facebook.com and then type in MTW West Coast Office. Join us. We have our newsletter, which you can sign up on our website, mtw.org/West Coast. And then we have our YouTube channel, youtube.com. And then you type in MTW West Coast and you will see our variety of videos. So we have a lot of content. If you guys have any questions, there's anything that we can do to reach out and help you, or reach out and you guys, we can answer anything for you, do so. We're here. We want to serve you, and we want to bless you any way that we can. So feel free to reach out to us, guys. Anyone else have anything? No? Oh, that's it. All right, guys.
West Coast. See you guys next week.
See y'all.
Bye, Parsa.
Bye.
See you,